So irrigation systems, Minnesota HOAs, looking at how to maintain them, how to keep them running efficiently, and what to do when you need to replace one. We'll talk about that with Craig Ballensky from Advanced Irrigation right here on the HOA Leadership Network. Craig Ballensky from Advanced Irrigation, one of our sponsors here in Maple Grove. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Mark.
So Craig, you talked to our group a lot about maintenance of irrigation systems. What would you say is the number one problem or concern that HOA boards have about their current irrigation system?
The amount of runtime. We're finding a lot of HOA boards are having a conflict with the residents in terms of, I'd like it to run longer, the board's looking to save a little money and run less. This spring has been extremely beneficial, or early summer, in the terms we haven't had to run the sprinkler systems. We know it'll get hot and dry. Meeting with your vendor and discussing adequate run times for certain areas of turf is the best way to solve that problem.
You also talked a little bit about systems that are using the sort of cycle and soak.
Yes.
Explain what that is and what's the benefit of that?
The benefit of the cycle and soak is allowing the water to soak into the turf area that it is watering, or even flower bed. So cycle and soak essentially is it'll water for 4 minutes or 5 or 6, whatever your vendor sets. It'll jump over to a different location and run for 4 to 6 minutes, allowing 30 to 60 minutes, and that can be set by your vendor, of actual soak time into the ground. It's most beneficial in your hilly areas where you're not just dumping water on and fighting against runoff. You're actually letting the water soak into the ground.
Now, of course, we've had an awful lot of rain in Minnesota. This is a very different year from the last several years where we were in a drought. What are some of the issues that you're faced as all of this rain starts to dry up, systems are coming back online? What do you think you're going to be finding as that happens?
We've been finding, with all the rain, a lot of low areas that are nuisance to the lawnmowers per se, and the quality of the mowing product. So you need to talk with the irrigation vendor when systems do come back on and let them know that, hey, we noticed pooling water here, because if natural rainfall is pooling in those areas, irrigation is going to pool in those areas. Also talk with your vendor and understand, like in between homes and certain turf areas, we may not need to go back right into 40-minute run times or 10-minute or 20. We don't need to do the extended right out of the gate when it dries out. There's plenty of moisture in the ground. Trying to manage that moisture is your best practice. So please, please talk with your vendor. It'll definitely make the board's life better.
A lot of our members are on HOA boards in properties that are, 10, 20, 30, even more years old. And these systems have been running and running. What's your word of advice for HOA boards that maybe have an aging system? How do they make sure that it's running properly and efficiently?
Check in with your vendor. Feel free to ask them questions. They should be updating you as they're making repairs. If you're consistently making repairs in the same areas, there could be a bigger issue. Maybe it's age, maybe it's time for new main line, maybe it's time for new feeder line. Yep. Also talk with your property manager and understand the budget end of replacing that system and looking at potentially placing a little bit of money off to the side for that just in case.
Should an irrigation system be designed to really replace rainfall in a drought situation?
Irrigation systems cannot replace rain. It'll never happen. Cost-wise, you can't do it.
Can never keep up with it.
No, you can't.
Well, it certainly hasn't been a problem this year with all the rain
great.
that we've had in Minnesota. Craig Ballensky from Advanced Irrigation, thank you so much for being with us. Make sure you become a member and learn more about irrigation systems and all things HOA by going to our website at www.hoalnet.com. Become a member. It's free. The HOA Leadership Network.